Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Ink here in the Ultimate Autographs Studio. RJ Carvis to my left, Adam Johnson to my right. How are you boys doing this afternoon?
Doing good. Doing well. Really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. We've got a pretty fun show ahead of us today. We're going to talk a little bit about current stuff, a little Russell Westbrook talk, one of the biggest faces in the NBA, possibly moving. And then we are going to talk about something we got into a little bit last week, but we didn't expand on it because we wanted to save it. The best nicknames in sports, in our opinion. So no factual evidence at all can back your decision unless you think you're right.
And these nicknames that kind of translate to inscriptions. But
Inscriptions. Because we talked about inscriptions a little bit last week, but a little bit different in terms of nicknames. Sometimes guys won't write their nicknames and things like that. They want to be just called something else. But what do you guys think? Russell Westbrook, one of the biggest faces in the NBA today, potentially moving from his hometown of Oklahoma City. Played with the Thunder since he was a rookie. And Adam, you talk a lot about big markets and things and where people are going to go that will affect the value of their autograph. So where does Russell Westbrook, I keep wanting to say Russell Wilson, where does Russell Westbrook end up?
Well, it's kind of timestamp why we're talking about Westbrook. It was early on in free agency, and Paul George was recently traded to Clippers. So looks like Oklahoma City's rebuilding. Obviously, with the rebuild and a superstar like Russell Westbrook, it doesn't make a lot of I almost said Wilson. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them to keep Westbrook around when they can turn around and flip him for a lot of assets. Where do I think he's going? I think he's going to Miami, which I think we talked a little bit off of podcasts about how we might agree on that. I think for his value and as an autograph collector, I'd like to see him go to New York. I don't think that's totally unreasonable. I think New York's a little bit desperate right now. They don't really have a face of the franchise like they thought they would get this past free agency. I could see them, as in the Knicks, just dumping every draft pick possible that they have in the next half decade over there to try to get Westbrook, and then OKC is just sitting on like 20 first round picks after that. That's true. Paul George trade. So as a collector, I'd love to see him go back to New York, kind of balance out the East. It's becoming a little more balanced right now as we speak. I think that market would do wonders for him. I mean, he's pretty much in the smallest NBA market you could be right now, Oklahoma City. So that's only going to help his value and his chase value as well if it goes to a big market like New York.
Do you really think there's any hope for the Knicks?
No.
Train wreck of an organization.
Honestly, and nothing against Russell Westbrook, but he kind of fits that Knicks mold where if they're doing well, he's very, outgoing and Knicks-ish. But if it's a train wreck, he fits right in. So
that's very true. I mean,
so he's a very Knicks player, whether it's good or bad, I think, in my opinion.
I think being a Knicks player is good because obviously I've said this before. I'm a fan of big personalities and stuff and flash, and Russell Westbrook has both of those. And if you're in New York, you have to possess some sort of personality. And I think Russell Westbrook fits the mold perfectly for a New York Knick.
He could be a great Knick. I just think, does he want to be? I think that's there's a do not pass go sign stamped right on the front of MSG now.
Well, I think nobody does, because even in the college basketball season, they were like RJ Barrett and Tan were like looking at each other in the locker room like, reporters like, what do you think about playing in New York? And they like look at each other like,
nobody wants to play there. They don't want to
play for the Knicks. So I think you're right about that, RJ.
I hate to disagree, RJ, with you, but I would love to disagree with you at the same time on this topic because I think the New York Knicks have some upside. They did some pretty decent stuff in the offseason. They got Julius Randle. They have Kevin Knox, who is decent, who can be a lot better. Dennis Smith Jr. they acquired last year from the Mavericks, who is another up-and-coming player. Taj Gibson, who's a pretty decent role player, can play the 4, can play the 5. And if they added Russell Westbrook to that team, they could be a competitor in the East.
And I think you just mentioned it too with Dennis Smith Jr. They got Nick Latina there too. A lot of guards, Knox. So maybe one of those guys in 4 picks or whatever, 5 picks, and just that's what gets Russell Westbrook. They're kind of loaded in that.
Bobby Portis as well.
Bobby Portis they picked up. Alfred Payton is another guard. He's coming off the bench.
They have just a pretty decent base of young talent, but they need that veteran to glue them all together, I believe.
What do you think it does to his value if he goes to like Miami? Does that I mean, can it go down? It can't go down, I don't think. I mean, I think he's a guy that people want. Obviously, he's Russell Westbrook, right. But what do you think it does to his market being in OKC compared to other cities?
I was going to guess that he would go to Miami based on his relationship with Jimmy Butler is pretty good, and Jimmy Butler just signed with Miami. And I think if he goes to Miami, I think his memorabilia and his cards, the value goes up because, there's more of an audience in Miami. I think he has more room to succeed in Miami as well. And, as soon as someone gets a championship or a finals MVP, their autograph value skyrockets.
Right.
And I think he'll face more value increase in Miami, bar none, than he will not competing for a championship in OKC for the rest of his career. Because I don't think, in the West, OKC will be competitive now. If anything, they were going to do it last year with Paul George and a pretty decent surrounding crew.
They got close against Portland.
They sure did. Series. Don't get me wrong. They put up a good fight, but that's the farthest that they'll make it. They don't have much room to improve from there. So if he goes to Miami and they do very well in the East, which they definitely can with a pretty decent crew, Jimmy Butler's a good player. He's just kind of a head case, but so is Russell Westbrook. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch those guys butt heads.
Dude, sign me up.
Yeah, it's going to be like Friday night fights every single time they play on TNT. It's going to be great.
Well, as a resident non-NBA fan, so sorry, NBA listeners, I just don't watch. So, but with my sports knowledge, I'm gonna throw out a conjecture there. I'm gonna say he's gonna go to Philadelphia to become a 76er.
That'd be huge.
The Sixers are gonna win the NBA championship next year.
Easily, I think. Easily
the champions. They're just missing puzzle piece. Some may call him the second coming of the answer. Yeah, I'm just making all this shit up.
Yeah,
which is great.
It sounds to me like you're blowing smoke over here.
I have nothing, no premise to base this off of, other than why not take a stab at it? The only thing I do know is Sixers are a good team. They were
very good team.
They were just maybe a missing puzzle piece away.
Sure.
So maybe maybe he can become the answer.
Right.
Part 2, segueing into our next topic.
Oh yeah, the best nicknames.
Nice, one of them.
Nice transition. That was nice. One of the best nicknames ever.
I didn't say anything for a while. I was just
you were just picking your spot there. Segued nicely into the next topic. Best nicknames that we believe in sports. I mean, it could be ever, it could be current guys. I kind of want to hear both of your opinions because RJ, not a basketball guy, but there's plenty of nicknames spread throughout the entire universe of sports. I want to hear what you think is the best one.
Well, piggybacking the answer, I will say I was guilty of being an 11-year-old wearing about 7 different Allen Iverson armbands at one.
Yeah.
Or not seventh grade, not 7-year-old, 7th grader. Wearing headband, the armbands, the forearm bands, and I had a pair of the finger bands.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That shit was real. Ooh. Yeah. AI finger bands.
Wow. Did you have the Reebok Answer shoes?
Oh, yeah. I had the slip-on version for after the game. So you take the gamers off, slip on those AI shoes. Woof.
Nice. Did you ever get cornrows or no?
I did not.
That was my
regret.
Big thing.
That was a regret in my life.
Sure.
Could have done it, but I didn't. But going into nicknames, not the biggest. I guess I love it because it's punny, it's great, and he was one of my favorite players of all time, the Big Unit.
Sure.
I love
Johnson.
Big Unit. Johnson. It's just it's a great name, and it's just coming from the prowess of his fastball to the fact that he was 6'7".
Yeah,
he was 6'7", not
huge.
Literally a big unit.
Currently still alive.
He shrunk.
He is
shrunk
with us.
a little.
No, but he. It's funny. You go to Chase now at West Bank One, the Bob as they call it in Arizona, in the home dugout in the tunnel. On your way to and from the clubhouse, there is a bar that hangs off the ground, and he used to hang from it to stretch his back.
Oh, wow!
And we have to tippy toe or jump to get it.
Holy cow!
He would just grab it and then have to bend his legs up so it just shows how he was a massive,
he's a big dude,
massively lanky individual.
We brought him up previously about he's a tough one to get autograph.
Yes,
he doesn't sign often.
Correct. He sure does not.
And if you're getting a signature by him, see if he'll sign the unit because that's
the Big Unit. That's
one of the best nicknames in sports.
Yeah, that's a pretty unique item if you've got something like that, especially from him, guy who never signs. You never see anything in there. Adam, what you got?
I'm going to stick with NBA. I like the Flash. I've always liked
Dwayne Wade
with the Flash. The superhero pun play on that. He lived up to it. I mean, cutting through that lane back in the early 2000s when he was a rookie. I mean, he literally was the Flash of the NBA. Always one of been my favorites. I like the ones that kind of play off of other things like superheroes and things like that.
Like Dwight Howard was Superman.
Yeah, that one was cool, but I mean, he really wasn't like Superman. You know,
yeah.
Like, Dwayne Wade fit the Flash. He was the Flash of the NBA. Superman is a little like, okay, come on, like. You're too much. Right now. Superman is too much.
You shot for the stars. You shouldn't call that one
Superman,
right? Yeah. Especially if you're Dwight Howard and you fizzled out of the league like you did, kind of. So
you've been around for 6 years. Yeah, we won't even get into that.
Yeah, that's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a good one. Flash. I like that one.
I do like that one. To stick with basketball, I was always a fan of Agent Zero for Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
That's a good one.
Another guy who really fell off the face of the earth because he got into quite a bit of trouble with guns.
So Agent Zero
again, Agent Zero.
Yeah, that's good for sure.
Yeah, that's good. But I think basketball possesses some of the good ones. I mean, Karl Malone was always the mailman. I thought that was really cool because he would dominate the post. Like that's just one of the most clever things you could ever.
I mean, think about Air Jordan, the brand that was built off that.
Air Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? That's
the king of
literally verbal gold.
Yeah. I like Pete Maravich was Pistol Pete. I think it's so cool. Again, one of my favorite players ever, even though I never got the joy to watch him. I just seen
you have YouTube though.
Highlights of him. Yeah.
Dr. J getting a PhD from playing hoops.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What do you get? Another one?
I'm thinking of one that we just saw come through our doors recently on a baseball. He inscribed Chuck Nasty.
I was going to say that's good.
Charlie Blackmon. All-Star game last night, hit a home run. Probably one of the more underrated players of our generation, being that he's in Colorado. 330 hitter, 30 home runs a year. Chuck Nasty. That signed me up for that one. I like that.
I like that. I like that. Some of the biggest talents in sports ever are often just associated with their nickname, rather than their name. But it's always like their name, CC nickname, like whatever they stamp themselves on. Like Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. It's like one of the coolest things ever, I think, in my opinion. And he's got shirts that say the Black Mamba. It's a Kobe shirt. It doesn't even say Kobe on it. It just says the Black Mamba.
Right.
Oh, that's a Kobe shirt.
And he just started a Mamba Sports Academy. So he has it's basically going after like Exos and those like intense like training facilities for the next level athlete, the guys in college or guys who want to go to pro. It's Mamba Sports Academy.
Ooh, that's cool.
And they're like, I've been out there in California. They're cool facilities. So he really is it's his brand. I mean, it's pretty sweet.
Right. No, that's the whole part of having a really successful nickname is you can create a brand from it. And like you mentioned with Air Jordan. And another guy, his first name is Eldrick. That's a terrible name. Dude, let's stick to Tiger Woods.
Or
you're wearing a Tiger Woods hat.
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. That's so cool. Irvin.
Yeah.
Would you rather be Irvin or would you be Magic?
Or I'm thinking of a guy like who we're going to see this weekend at the CSA show, Greedy Williams. I don't know what his real name is, but I can't imagine it's Greedy. Maybe it is Greedy. I don't know, but I assume that's a nickname.
I wouldn't put anything past anybody these days.
Greedy. It's a cool name.
It's a cool name. Absolutely.
I like that.
Greedy Williams, especially for a football player.
Yeah.
I mean,
corner.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Greedy for the ball. I mean, that's sweet. That's got to be a nickname. But
Chicago podcast. I mean, you got to throw in there Shoeless Joe.
Yeah.
Like that's just
cool one too. And it's associated with a cool story.
Yeah, it's a great story. Do you want to tell her? Do you want me to tell
I would. You can mention if you want.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What is it? Was it a pair of shoes that didn't fit, or did he just not like having shoes on? Did
he really not wear shoes?
No,
he kicked them off in a game because of...
I think they didn't fit.
I think he got a pair that just didn't fit or what was going on, but he got on base and he kicked them off.
Whoa.
Then he played the rest of the game without shoes.
I mean, I know I've known Shoeless Joe forever, but I never really thought about that he actually didn't wear shoes.
It was in a minor league game because I played in the Coastal Plains League in college, a summer league, and I'm pretty sure one of the stadiums in like Wilson, North Carolina or something was like, that was supposedly the stadium that they're talking about where he kicked him off.
They had a minor leagues back when he played.
Yeah, they had minor leagues then?
Yeah,
so it wasn't. It was just like it was like
quite the story.
There was like it was semi-pro or there was the barnstorming leagues.
Sure.
Like they would play for money in the off season and stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of where it happened because he was an uneducated.
I never thought to think of why he was called Shoeless, but that is literally why he's called Shoeless.
People people don't even know him as Joe Jackson. They just know him as Shoeless Joe.
Joe Jackson's part of the Jackson 5. Isn't
Joe Jackson is probably a no-name somewhere. There's probably
Jackson. It's his dad, or is that?
I don't know.
I think Joe Jackson is Michael Jackson's dad.
I think
he's quite the tangent.
Yeah,
but
forget it.
I mean, there's guys like that don't even go by their names. Shoeless Joe Jackson, Shoeless Joe. You don't call him Joe Jackson. If someone said, "Hey, do you remember Joe Jackson from the White Sox?" I'd be like, "It doesn't ring a bell." Or which one are you talking about? There's probably 50.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, Shoeless Joe." Yeah, right away. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think if you ask the average sports fan, you remember Irvin Johnson? They'll be like, no.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
You could probably ask the average sports fan, do you know Eldrick Woods? No.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
That's cool. That was his dad is a buddy in Vietnam that saved his life or something like that. It was where.
Really?
That's cool. That's a cool story.
That's where a tiger came from. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
We're learning a ton here.
Like,
it's the most informational episode I've ever been a part of.
Tidbits.
We're better than Wikipedia right now.
Yeah.
No, we're not citing our sources or anything.
Yeah, that's true. This could all have been made up.
We know.
It's the beauty of a podcast.
That's true. You could just make stuff up on the spot.
Half journalism.
That's good.
Yes.
One guy that we forgot to bring up in terms of creating a brand for yourself, King James. LeBron James. I mean, he has King's crowns on everything that he does because
he had King's crowns when he was 19 before he even done it, didn't he?
Did he?
Right.
I would love to know where that came from. Did he give himself that nickname?
I doubt it.
You can't coin yourself King James. No way.
He was pretty humble coming in.
Yeah, I will say.
There have been worse people.
I will say all aside because I hope he comes on the show one time. I've met him a few times. He's awesome. An absolutely awesome individual.
Yeah, he seems
Any crap that I talk is just half journalism here. It's not real.
He burned the bull. I always loved him, and then he burned the Bulls that year. He went with the big three, Miami, and then I didn't like him. But now that he's kind of like come back, it's over, and he's in LA. It's like I don't root against him. So
I don't hate LeBron James.
I like him. He's a good businessman too.
He is. He's a very smart individual for someone that didn't go to college at all. He just had everything kind of in place for him.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, that's
real
world school.
Yeah.
I like King James a lot. Wayne Gretzky is the great one. That's top 5 nickname ever.
I think my favorite of all time though, Clipboard Jesus.
Clipboard Jesus.
Charlie Whitehurst.
Okay.
Suck for Luck campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be a backup quarterback, grow your hair out, get a beard, make league minimum, and call yourself Clipboard Jesus.
Yeah, he was a decent backup too.
That's a win.
He owned up to that.
That's a win. I'm surprised he didn't do the Pat McAfee role. He should be on some bar stool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call him up. We're getting him on. We're getting him on as our fourth host because
cool.
You got that's for the brand. The Pat McAfee saying like that is a. Stories from the bench. I don't know. I'm branding for you, Charlie. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to having you
on watching.
He was a good backup too. I mean, the best thing about being a backup is you don't even have to play. So if you just don't ever play, you'll never be a bad backup.
My lifelong goal, which is gone and over with, my dream was to be a third string quarterback.
Yeah.
Not even put my pants on. Just wear the sideline pants. Just with like shoulder pads. And just in case you get called in, you just run to the locker room, slide your pants on and come back out.
I think Luke McCown he was like the backup for Breeze for like half a decade. And I don't think he ever played a snap. But he was never he was always the backup because he never played himself out of the role.
Right.
So the best thing you could be if you want to be if you're going to be a backup, just go behind someone who
just be good enough to stay as a backup.
Don't look horrible in practice. Just put the guy in front of you doesn't get hurt. You could have an 8-year career in the same team and just be the backup.
You do well to that by studying other teams and being the best
scout team.
Yeah, the scout team quarterback. That you just pride yourself on making others better.
And then
that's the real.
God forbid,
that's the real job.
Your quarterback ahead of you gets hurt. You can't go in and suck.
No,
because you'll never get the call again.
But
you'll never get the call again.
If you become a good scout team quarterback, my theory is your coaching material down the road. Once your playing career is over, you're ready to transition right into a QB coach or something.
You build the resume of X amount of years in the NFL.
I think.
Right there.
I mean, you look at a lot of the coaches now. Doug Peterson, he was a Favre's backup. I mean, Matt Nagy wasn't an NFL backup, but he was a former quarterback who 1 or 2 years on a practice squad. Kellen Moore, I think, is the OC in Dallas, and he was the backup to Tony Romo for a while, Boise State dude. So I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, we're talking about getting Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and all these. Don't be backups are the real stars.
For some reason, I always wanted to be a bullpen catcher.
It's another great career.
$500,000 more a year.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is catch some warm-up pitches. I mean, unless it's a Aroldis Chapman, he's throwing 155 miles an hour at you in the bullpen.
You make do with that. You slide extra plastic under your chest plate.
Get out of the way.
They hit the glove.
Get out of the way if you can.
Yeah.
Those guys make decent coin, I would assume.
League minimum.
Yeah, league minimum.
You paid league minimum to be
In the MLB?
Yep.
What is that? What is the MLB league minimum?
$575,000 a year.
That's amazing.
It's decent.
For 6 months of work.
Does a practice squad quarterback make league minimum?
I think practice squad has different rules.
NFL is different because nothing's guaranteed.
You got to be on the 53 man to make
Sure.
Nothing's guaranteed in the NFL.
because
can't
you're
believe
practice squad doesn't count towards service time.
$500,000 a year to be a backup bullpen catcher. You have no chance of getting in the game. You have zero chance to get in the ball game.
The only problem I've heard from a few guys when you are a bullpen catcher or a backup, so $500,000, a lot of money. But when you're traveling 6 months a year with guys making 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 million a year, you have to let them. You have to make them remember that you don't make that much. So if you want to go out with them and have a fun time, it's like shit's on you, buddy, because I can't afford that still.
But I would assume that a lot of the pitchers take care of those guys.
They do a lot, but like backup quarterbacks and things, they got to be careful. You have to like.
I could totally see myself getting into like some serious gambling with like the starting
going out to the clubs. Like, I'll get bottle service. It's only $3,000, but that adds up.
I would be broke quick.
Yeah, you could
I hang out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
I would get into the wrong crowd. If I was a bullpen catcher, I would be broke.
I mean, I have a few friends that play in the NHL and stuff, and I've gone out with them in like Toronto, and I just look at them like, I'm not paying tonight. I'm sorry.
You make those
I apologize. Thank you for inviting me, but I'm not paying. So if you want me to have fun with you, it's on your dime.
Nice.
That's a really cool gig, a bullpen catcher.
Yeah,
you travel with the team, you're a member of the team. Those guys probably, like you, they trust you as, just as much of a team as anybody else. But that has got to be the best job on the planet.
And don't forget,
bullpen catcher.
Meal money per diem, $150 a night.
Wow.
So
as a bullpen catcher, you get $150 a meal?
As a 40-man roster, when you're traveling, you get $140 a day for food. So you're not even.
Dang.
It's a lot of food.
What are they eating?
I mean, they go to steakhouses, and
okay. What do they do with the money that carries over? Do they put it in their pocket?
I went fantastic. I got meal money with the Dodgers, Cubs, everything. My Dodgers year, 2014, went to Europe.
Whoa.
Spent 15 days in Europe.
Shoot.
Just cash.
We're in the wrong industry, dude.
Yeah. It's just, they literally give you, like, per road trip, you go on a 10-day road trip, they calculate that out, they give you an envelope that says, like, my name and then the dates it's for, and straight up.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think we're in the wrong industry by choice. I think I'd be there.
Correct.
Could be, but we're having to settle for slinging the autograph. Signing them.
I'll sling autographs all day. But dang, that's still kind of boggling my mind that $500,000 to be a bullpen catcher.
Yeah.
Those guys haven't made.
But service time too.
How often are they replaced? Every year? Do they get new ones every year?
The same one for as long as I can remember. Chad Noble.
You also qualify, if I'm not mistaken. You're an employee of the team for the pension plan. So you give 10 years of service.
Sure.
You retire. You get a pension from the league. So you're getting.
What are we doing here?
Like it's.
Start taking catching.
Is someone taking applications for this job? I could sit in there and catch heaters all day.
It's all through the grapevine, man. It's all through, like, job opens up, somebody who knows.
I think I like Chad Noble, who's been the Cubs bullpen catcher for a while. I want to say he was like a Northwestern. He played at Northwestern, and he was like late round pick, like made it to single A, or maybe not even that high, and then he just kind of like faded out, and they just brought him in. He's like, he was in the system, and then he's like, you're done, but like you're gonna be a bullpen catcher. I think there's a lot that goes into it too. I don't know why we're talking about bullpen catchers on this podcast for 10 minutes. Great.
That's fine.
I'm all about it. It's just funny, but I think they elevated him. I mean, you got to be able to work a pitching staff too. I mean, they're not just going to let you up there because you have a catcher's mitt. I mean, you got to bring benefit as a coach.
Let's talk something kind of creative.
What? So
we've been talking about bullpen catchers, and we're an autograph business. Say you have a 2016 Cubs autograph memorabilia item, and you're trying to get the full team. Do you have to get the bullpen catcher on there?
I mean, I would get Chad Noble. I mean, I know who he is. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, but he's a more well-known bullpen catcher just because we're Cubs fans, obviously. Sure. But does the bullpen catcher qualify as someone who you need to have on that baseball?
I want bullpen catcher. I want front office. Like, let's go.
I mean, I've seen Chris Blasio for the
I've seen Epstein stuff.
He's for sure.
He's very popular.
John Maley, when he was the hitting coach, I've seen his stuff. Dave Martinez, when he was a bench coach, now he's the Nationals coach. But yeah, coaches sign stuff all the time.
So if you want to go above and beyond and have your collection sort of stand apart from everybody else's, got to get the you got to get the ins and the outs of the team.
Yeah. No, why not?
So not only Bryant, Rizzo, those guys that are on the field, go ahead and get the bullpen catcher. Yeah, Chad Noble.
Put him right between Baez and Zobrist.
Put him right in the sweet spot. Yeah. You might as well, dude. He's making some cash.
Right.
World Series, World Series ring, everything. Like you get it all.
Oh yeah, he gets a ring too.
And you get a playoff share. If you guys know about the playoff share system, everyone puts in money at the beginning of the season. Everyone pays their dues into the league, and based on how far you make it in the playoffs, only playoff qualifying teams get money, and then based on how far you get a bigger share. So I mean, I think one playoff share for a team that wins is something like, it's probably like $500,000, or just shy of $500,000. And so bat boys get like usually a quarter of a share, so you're getting like $150K.
A bat boy?
Oh yeah, the Yankees bat boy got like $150K.
But they have different bat boys every game.
No, not always.
It's one home, one away.
Yeah, not always.
The full time guys are what they're considered.
I thought it was like a
the
thing.
ball people down the line, I think, changed.
Those changed?
Yeah, but no, the bat boys.
No, I'm telling you, there's different bat boys for a lot of the games.
No.
Factually.
Nah, I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean, like, if
the
Cubs guys walked in right now, I would recognize them. Be like, you're the ball
bat boy?
Yeah, like the bat ball boy. No, I would.
Do you need to get the bat boy on your autograph baseball?
No.
But the bat boy walks away. When you win a World Series, the bat boy walks away with a fat check.
If you don't have the last name on the back of your jersey, and it just says Bat Boy, and it's not your actual last name, you don't get to autograph the team signed stuff. So the coaches qualify, but the Bat Boy, where it just says
says Bat Boy 1.
But the Bat Boy laughs.
Bat Boy home, Bat Boy away.
But the Bat Boy laughs all the way to the bank when the team wins a World Series, because I think the Yankees kid got like $165K.
We'll have to have him on the podcast.
That kid's got to get in here.
We got to interview these people.
We should start bringing We should just start bringing the most.
We need to interview bullpen catchers and bat boys and ask them about like their autograph stories. That's something we need to do. Let's get this set up.
I'm in shock. This has been the most random episode we've ever filmed.
I like this though, because now I'm like, I want to call Chad Noble up.
Let's call him and be like,
I can figure
out how they relate to the autographs.
Hey, Chad,
what's their crazy memorable stories?
Yeah, that's a good one. I could do that. We'll find a way to do that.
Yeah, we got to
pull some strings. I think we should end this one on that note, though.
We don't have time for one more topic, no?
Do you want to talk about one more thing? I have the best game you ever attended.
Yeah, we can make this quick.
Best game you ever attended?
The best game you ever attended, and what sport and why. That's one extra thing I had written down. RJ, you seem like you have a story for us.
Game 7, 2016.
Oh my God.
You were there?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
I mean, there's no greater game. Like it ruined, honestly. I've been, since
my
that
story.
game, I've only gone to like 4 or 5 in-person baseball games. They all suck.
Yeah.
Like, no, I love baseball.
Yeah.
It's just, it is literally so uneventful. I was so nervous that game. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just sat with my hood up, staring straight ahead with no emotion and rocking slightly like a mental patient.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty much the entire game. And,
sure.
Oh, what a!
That can't be topped. No matter.
Yeah, no, I had a good story, but forget that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna mention like a Bulls game that was like a regular season, like game 26. But never mind.
Yeah, I was on the field actually for one of the games. I was sitting with the bullpen.
That's amazing.
I was in the upper deck.
I was not aware.
So cool.
I mean, I was in Aurora, Illinois, and I was freaking out. So I can't even imagine what it was like to actually.
Sure, I was watching on TV. I didn't sleep like 3 nights before the game.
I threw up in the parking lot. We parked, and I was just like, it just hit me that like we're here, and it's either going to be severely disappointing or the greatest thing ever. And I had worked with the Cubs through the summer, so I was considered ring eligible. So I wanted to throw out the entire time. Sure. And there's nothing you can do. You're helpless. You're sitting there, and I'm like, I'm about to watch a game that is going to be legendary, but I'm going to sit there with no control over an ounce of anything that's going to happen.
I still remember that game. Pretty much play for play. Like that's something I'll probably never forget that night there, because
the Dexter Fowler leadoff home run.
Amazing. Best
thing I've ever seen.
David Ross. When David Ross hit a home run, I was like, "Oh my God!"
Was it a grand slam or was it?
He was. I think he led off the inning.
Yeah, it was
something nasty.
It was a solo homer.
Nice.
It was.
Okay, all right.
Because the inning before, to go off on another random tangent,
blast in the face.
Yeah, he got hit with that. He got hit by Lester. He fell and they scored a run from it, and he just stepped up.
I think the guy scored from second, didn't he? Or am I just making stuff up?
Yeah. And if you look at it in the heat of that whole thing, there's like little things you don't think about. Like if he didn't hit that home run, there's no extra innings.
All right.
The Cubs lose.
Wow.
That's all.
We can get into this for hours and hours.
Separate podcast on Game 7.
That was the best game of my life.
Yeah. It was,
all right. So you wanted to brag. You brought the topic to brag.
I did, and I just
cool.
It's been a while since I talked about it. So
I'm sure. Get it out.
I don't have anything like that.
I have nothing even close.
Yeah, that's funny.
Nothing even close. I'm no joke. I was a Bulls game, the best game I ever went to. I think they were playing the Pistons, and it was again, this is totally random, but Marco Bellinelli was still on the Bulls. And they were down by like 25 going into like midway through the third, and they just came back and won. And it was I was sitting nosebleeds in college, spur of the moment, $12 ticket, 400 level.
Your story is good, RJ, but
it was great.
Adam's just blew his out of the
Marco Bellinelli hit he was fading behind the basket and like over the backboard shot to like put it. It was pretty depressing because it was when the Bulls were average and it was like a January game.
Sure.
But that was the best game I ever been to.
Big Macs, did it happen?
I don't remember.
So it must not have
I was in college. I don't remember. I was in college. But no, I don't remember.
That's free food. You should have been super focused.
I'm going to say no because I don't remember ever claiming it. And I feel like if they did, I would have been all over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. I mean, usually in college, you remember all the free food you can get.
Yeah.
Because it's not often. But I digress. That was a pretty eventful episode, boys.
So you have nothing? You have nothing.
I mean, nothing that can top those two stories. We had a comeback Bulls win in the regular season and Game 7 of the World Series for the Cubs and the Indians.
Wow,
those are two arguably
spice up your life, man.
Arguably the best Chicago sports games ever.
Yeah.
I haven't really been to like a really big sporting event that I can know. Like I don't even know of. I go to games, but they're like regular
Cubs
season
when they
games.
got swept by the Diamondbacks in the playoffs, like 07.
07?
It was game 3. And they got lost.
Yeah.
Left in like the 6th inning. It was terrible.
And then to go the next year, game 1.
I don't think I've ever been to a playoff game in my life.
Yeah.
I've never been to anything besides a regular season game.
All right. Well, sorry life's boring.
Dang.
We'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
That was a disappointing end to that. I've never been to anything fun in my life. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys. That was episode 14 of Fresh Ink. We'll see you guys next time.